Hello and welcome to Penalty on the Podcaster, the weekly NFL predicting podcast. This week, predicting Week 18, the final week of the 2022 NFL season, at least the final week in the regular season. It's amazing that it's almost over and playoffs start really soon. This is crazy. People said that the NFL adding Week 18 was a bad idea. It wasn't. It has delivered extra craziness. It will be really entertaining to watch and see how all these playoff scenarios play out. So, it's going to be really fun. For those of you who are new to the show, here's how it will work. I'm going to start off by reviewing how each team can make the playoffs, how they could clinch the number 1 seed potentially, and then I will move on to Week 18's slate of games, give predictions for each game, and score and outcome and why. I will also predict things for players or offenses or defenses, and that's how it's going to go. For those of you who have listened to past episodes, the review of last week's games, I'm not going to do that this week. It would make the episode way too long, so I will just be reviewing the clinching scenarios for each team instead. Before we get to it, some messages. Number 1, this podcast is not gambling advice. It is only for educational and entertainment purposes, and I am not responsible. I will not take any responsibility for money that was lost if it was lost while gambling on things said in this podcast. Also, this episode is sponsored by Souls Auto Parts. If you need parts for your vehicle, Souls is the way to go. You can call them, email them, or go for an in-person visit. That will all be in the episode description. And if you want to contact me for really anything, that will be in the episode description. Also, I know this podcast has traditionally been available on Spotify and some other smaller podcast indexes. Now it is available on YouTube. Last week's episode was available on YouTube. This one is the only one that will be immediately uploaded to YouTube, or at least the first one, not the only one. Yeah, so this will be on YouTube. This is made to be on YouTube as well as Spotify. That link will be in the description for the YouTube one. If you could go there, subscribe, that would be great. If you're watching this on YouTube, the Spotify link is also in the description. So there's that. Now, without further ado, let's get on with it. So, for the NFC, standings for the non-eliminated teams. Number 1, Philadelphia. Number 2, San Francisco. Number 3, Minnesota. Number 4, Tampa Bay. Number 5, Dallas. Number 6, New York Giants. Number 7, Seattle. Number 8, Detroit. Number 9, Green Bay. So, clinching scenarios for Philadelphia. They are already in the playoffs. They can do no lower than the number 5 seed. They clinched the number 1 seed with a win against New York Giants. That's a home game for them. Or they can lose to New York and have Dallas lose at Washington and have San Francisco lose versus Arizona. They clinch the East with a win against the Giants, or if they lose against the Giants, if Dallas loses at Washington. Number 2, San Francisco clinched the Western Division. They can clinch the number 1 with win versus Arizona and a Philadelphia loss versus New York Giants. Minnesota has clinched the North. Tampa Bay has clinched the South, is locked into number 4. Dallas is in the playoffs. They can clinch the East with a win at Washington and a Philadelphia loss versus New York Giants. They can clinch the number 1 seed with a win at Washington and San Francisco loss versus Arizona and Philadelphia loss versus New York Giants. That's probably not going to all happen. New York Giants are locked into number 6. So Seattle is into the 7th with a win versus Los Angeles Rams and a Green Bay loss versus Detroit. Detroit is in with a win at Green Bay and a Seattle loss versus the Rams. Green Bay is in with a win versus Detroit. They do have a tiebreaker on Seattle. Very interesting. For the AFC, Kansas City has... Oh, there's one more thing I gotta say before the AFC. Some of you may know, some of you may not, but a serious injury occurred in the NFL with 24-year-old Bills safety Damar Hamlin. Hamlin was making a tackle on what was the most normal play in all of football until it wasn't. Gets up, suffers cardiac arrest, falls down. They had to do CPR on him. He is in critical condition at a hospital right now. He has been improving, but yeah, it's not great. Prayers to Damar Hamlin and his family. But the game was suspended. Bills at Bengals was suspended due to it, and that was a very important game for a lot of teams. So I think the NFL definitely should have both teams take a tie. So with the AFC clinching scenarios, I will omit any scenarios that involve any team winning Bills at Bengals. It doesn't matter if they continue it or not for this. It was... he is officially undiagnosed, but no official diagnosis has been released. But some experts are suspecting commotio cordis, which is where a blunt force trauma to the chest at just the right interval can act like unnecessary CPR and cause an arrhythmia and stop the heart. And that may be what Damar Hamlin has. So it's an unprecedented thing, and the freak is the freak accidents. So let's continue. Kansas City. So the standings: Kansas City, number 1, number 2, Buffalo, number 3, Cincinnati, number 4, Jacksonville, number 5, Los Angeles Chargers, number 6, Baltimore, number 7, New England, number 8, Miami, number 9, Pittsburgh, number 10, Tennessee. And this is... So the scenarios for Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Kansas City are really affected by the Damar Hamlin incident. So Kansas City has clinched the West, can clinch the number 1 with a win at Las Vegas this week, and Buffalo losses at Cincinnati or versus New England. They're not going to lose. I don't think they're going to lose at Cincinnati because that's the suspended game. Or a loss at Las Vegas and Buffalo losses at Cincinnati and Buffalo loss versus New England. But they will and the Cincinnati loss versus Baltimore, but Buffalo will probably not lose at Cincinnati. So it's basically Buffalo loses versus New England and Kansas City wins at Las Vegas. Buffalo has clinched the East, can clinch number 1 with a win versus New England and a Kansas City loss at Las Vegas and Cincinnati loss versus Baltimore. Cincinnati can clinch the North with a win versus Baltimore. This is affected by the Damar Hamlin incident because it's very unlikely that they will win against Buffalo. That's the suspended game. Jacksonville can clinch the South with a win versus Tennessee, get in at number 7 with a loss versus Tennessee, and a Pittsburgh loss versus Cleveland, and a New England loss at Buffalo, and a Miami loss versus New York Jets. The Chargers and Ravens are in. New England is in with a win at Buffalo, or a Miami loss versus New York Jets, and Pittsburgh loss versus Cleveland, and Tennessee loss at Jacksonville. Miami in with a win versus the Jets, and New England loss at Buffalo. Pittsburgh is in with a win versus Cleveland, and New England loss at Buffalo, and Miami loss versus New York Jets. With Pittsburgh, it's kind of complicated. A lot of things need to fall into place, but this is the Mike Tomlin Steelers. You'll never know when someone's going to call a timeout with 18 seconds left in overtime to get these guys in the playoffs. That's just amazing how they've been able to do that. So knowing the Mike Tomlin Steelers, they're going to get in. Tennessee clinched South with a win at Jacksonville. So, yeah, those are the clinching scenarios for this week. Now, let's get into the actual predictions. So, Chiefs at Raiders. The Chiefs, L'Jarius Sneed did not participate in practice. There is no game status on him. Sky Moore did not participate in practice. And there's no game status on him. The Raiders have benched Derek Carr. But shockingly, Derek Carr will leave Las Vegas the season after inking a gigantic deal with him. He looked like their franchise quarterback, and, he's going to be walking next season. Incredible. For the Raiders, AJ Cole had limited participation in practice, no status. Josh Jacobs is the same, so is Devontae Adams. Jarrett Stidham, too. Oh, he's their starter. And so I'm predicting that Hunter Renfrow catches at least one touchdown, and Darren Waller catches at least one touchdown. I'm predicting that Mahomes throws 3 touchdowns and rushes for another one. I predict that Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Travis Kelce, and Juju Smith-Schuster each catch at least one touchdown. And, yeah. And for the Raiders, I'm not predicting much. Josh Jacobs had limited participation in practice and no game status. Assuming he plays, I think he'll rush for at least one touchdown. I'm predicting 35-17 for the Raiders. For the Chiefs. Chiefs win 35-17. Because Patrick Mahomes. Titans at Jaguars. Ooh. This is really the South Division Championship. Joshua Dobbs will play this game as starter over Malik Willis. Ryan Tannehill is injured. Danico Autry had full participation in practice. He has no status. There's no status for any of these guys. Amani Hooker had limited participation. The Titans are a super injured team, but okay. Trevor Lawrence did not participate in practice, and he has no status, but that's a problem. Trayvon Walker had limited participation. That could be really bad if they don't have Trevor Lawrence. I'm predicting that the Jaguars running back, I keep forgetting his name. Travis Etienne will rush for at least one touchdown. I'm predicting that Josh Allen will get at least one sack. Not the Bills quarterback, the Jaguars linebacker. I'm predicting that the Jaguars win 24-21. Panthers and Saints have no injuries reported. The Panthers are a team that could really use a quarterback. They might even trade for the number 1 overall, maybe. Or actually, I think it would be number 2 overall from the Bears. I think it would be because the Bears have a franchise quarterback. They do not need to select a quarterback high up in this draft. The Panthers really need a quarterback. Saints, I guess Taysom Hill's decent. Anyway, I'm predicting that Taysom Hill will both throw and catch at least one touchdown. And I'm predicting that Alvin Kamara runs and catches at least one touchdown. I think that it will end up being 31-14 Saints. I'm predicting that Tyrann Mathieu gets at least one interception. No, wait. 31-7 Saints. Because Sam Darnold. Just Sam Darnold. Texans at Colts. Who's gonna watch this? I really need to know. No one will be watching this. This is bound to be a really bad matchup. Davis Mills will do poorly because he's Davis Mills. Nick Foles will do poorly because he's Nick Foles, or is he injured? I don't know. This one's gonna be bad. I think the Colts can pull it out. Give the Texans the number 1 pick. 14-10. Sure. Browns at Steelers. Mike Tomlin's Steelers need to win this to have another shot of getting the playoffs. In the playoffs. They're the Mike Tomlin Steelers, so they'll win. I think Deshaun Watson's gonna throw 2 picks, and I think that Najee Harris will rush for at least one touchdown. Nick Chubb will rush for at least one touchdown. Cam Hayward and TJ Watt will each record sacks, and Minkah Fitzpatrick will get an interception. Steelers did an amazing job staying alive against the Ravens, with Minkah Fitzpatrick coming in clutch with that pick again of Tyler Huntley. I predict that Kenny Pickett will throw at least one touchdown. I think it will end up being 20-13 Steelers. Jets at Dolphins. The Jets were one of those teams where it's like they're coming out and oh my god, they're good. They're actually good. And then no, they're not. They're the Jets. They are prohibited from being good. And so they're 7-9, eliminated against the Dolphins, but they get to eliminate the Dolphins if they win. Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed are superb corners. And I think that Sauce Gardner will get at least one interception, and Tua Tagovailoa will throw at least 2 interceptions. Is Tua even playing? No, he got concussed a 3rd time. Teddy Bridgewater playing? I think he got concussed too, or injured. whoever their quarterback is will throw at least 2 picks. Tyreek Hill will catch at least 1 touchdown. I guess it's Zach Wilson for the Jets. Ugh. I think Bradley Chubb will get at least 1 sack. And I think James Robinson will rush for at least 2 touchdowns. And I think that this will end up being the Jets game 21 to 17. And the Dolphins won't make the playoffs. And the Steelers will. Patriots at Bills. I'm predicting a Patriots loss, and if that comes true, if all my predictions come true, or at least the last 3, Steelers go to the playoffs. Mike Tomlin does it again. But, yeah, I think the Bills will win. I mean, they are missing Damar Hamlin, who will hopefully get better soon. But still, it's Bills-Patriots. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a rivalry. I think that the Bills will absolutely win this. I think that Nelson Aguilar will catch at least 1 touchdown. But then Stephon Diggs will catch at least 2 touchdowns, and Gabe Davis will catch at least 1. And Josh Allen will throw at least 3 touchdowns and rush for at least 1. And James Cook will rush for at least 1 touchdown. And I think it will be 38-14. I think it will start off close, and the Bills just go. Like, I think it will start off kind of close, and then the Bills will just take it away and run away with it. And yeah, that's what I predict. 38-14 Bills. Buccaneers at Falcons. The Falcons aren't good. The Buccaneers aren't good, but they're kind of good. They're better than the Falcons. I think Mike Evans will catch at least 1 touchdown. I think that Leonard Fournette will rush for at least 1 touchdown. I think that Chris Godwin will catch at least 1 touchdown. And I think we'll end up being 24-7 because that defense. Vikings at Bears. This is a pretty meaningless game. Although if the Texans win, unlikely, and the Bears lose, the Bears could get the number 1 overall pick, which is so much more valuable when you're trading. And although, it's either CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, can't go wrong. But I think the Vikings will definitely win this. They're a very good football team, and the Bears are a very bad football team. I think Kirk Cousins will throw at least 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook will rush for at least 2 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson will catch at least 1 touchdown, and the Bears will just be left in the dust. I'm predicting 31-13. All right. By the way, if there's any interruption right there, that's because my computer almost died, and I had to run and get a charger because I don't have one in my room. Okay, so moving on from the Vikings pounding the Bears, Ravens at Bengals. Because the Ravens don't have Lamar Jackson, I don't think that they're going to win this. I think that this will end up being the Bengals game. Absolutely. I think Mark Andrews will catch at least 1 touchdown. But aside from that, I think Joe Mixon will rush for at least 1 touchdown, and Joe Burrow will throw at least 3 touchdowns. because he's such a good quarterback. I think Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase will each catch touchdowns. And I think Hayden Hurst will have some really big catch. And, by the way, that's 20 or more yards. Because Hayden Hurst is a very good tight end. Actually, pretty underrated. I think that the Bengals will absolutely run away with this one. I think Tyler Huntley will throw at least 2 picks because he's not Lamar Jackson, and this offense needs Lamar Jackson. And I think that the Bengals will win 34. Actually, the Ravens' defense is kind of good. But yeah, 34 to 20. Chargers at Broncos. The Chargers are going to win because the Broncos suck. Nathaniel Hackett is a horrible coach. He deserved to get fired for the Broncos-Colts matchup disaster this season. The Broncos are so bad. Russell Wilson from a pack of very infected badgers. From a pack of dying badgers. The Chargers are really good. They're in the playoffs. They're probably going to be the number 5 seed. They're probably going to go against Jacksonville. I know they lost to Jacksonville, but that was because Justin Herbert fractured rib cartilage. The Broncos, they're just so bad. I think that the Chargers will get at least 2 interceptions and of Russell Wilson or Brett Rippon or whatever lame excuse for a quarterback they put on the field. I think Justin Herbert will throw at least 2 touchdowns. I think Keenan Allen will catch at least 1 touchdown. And Austin Eckler will rush for at least 2 touchdowns because the Broncos suck. And they're really easy to run over. I think that this will end up being 35-13 for the Chargers. Rams at Seahawks. I think that the Seahawks will end up getting in the playoffs because I think Detroit will beat Green Bay and they'll beat Los Angeles Rams. Dang it. I want the Rams to win so bad. I think that DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett will each catch touchdowns, and Kenneth Walker III will rush for at least 1 touchdown. I think that Cam Akers is capable of rushing for at least 1 touchdown. And I think that Baker Mayfield will throw at least 1 touchdown. And I think that the Seahawks will win though. 27-17. Cowboys at Commanders. Looks like we're in for good old-fashioned stomping. The Commanders are such an inferior team to the Cowboys. I think Taylor is Carson Wentz back? Isn't Carson Wentz playing? Okay. I should know these things, but yeah. Tyler Heineke is not good. Carson Wentz is washed up and honestly really bad. And I think Trayvon Diggs will get at least 1 interception. Micah Parsons will get 2 sacks. And Ezekiel Elliott's going to have some fun. I think that Ezekiel Elliott will rush for 2 touchdowns. And Dak Prescott will throw 2 touchdowns. I think it will end up being 28-10. Cowboys are that good and the Commanders are that bad. Cardinals at 49ers. So the Cardinals are really bad. Like, so bad that, like, they're 4-12. They're worse than the Falcons. Provably, they went head to head. Yeah, the Cardinals had such a great season last season. What happened? Oh, it was a fluke? Yeah, who would have guessed that? This is going to be J.J. Watt's last game. I mean, an absolute legend. So I think J.J. Watt won't get any sacks because he's old and the 49ers offensive line is really good. I think that Brock Purdy will throw 3 touchdowns all over this horrible excuse for a defense the Cardinals have. I do think James Conner will rush for at least 1 touchdown, but I think Deebo Samuel and Brendan will catch at least 1 touchdown, and Brandon Ayuk will catch at least 1 touchdown, and George Kittle will catch at least 1 touchdown. I think that Trace McSorley, is he the guy, or is it Colt McCoy? I don't care. I think that quarterback will get intercepted twice. 24-13 49ers. And we have the Giants at the Eagles. The Eagles are in a 2-game slide. But when you have 13 wins, you can do that. I think they'll win because the Giants, are kind of fizzling out. They're not that good. And I think the Eagles can clinch number 1 in this game. Yeah. I think they'll win. I think Devontae Smith will catch at least 1 touchdown. And A.J. Brown will catch at least 1 touchdown. I do think Kayvon Thibodeau will get at least 1 sack. And I do think Saquon Barkley will get at least 2 touchdowns. I think this will end up being 20-17 Eagles. Lions at Packers. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown will catch at least 1 touchdown. Jared Goff will throw at least 2 touchdowns. And DeAndre Swift will rush for at least 1 touchdown. I think that Aaron Rodgers will throw at least 2 touchdowns. And I think that Christian Watson will catch at least 1 touchdown. And I think that A.J. Dillon will rush for at least 1 touchdown. But I think that this will end up being the Lions game 24-21. And that's the last game. But if Seattle wins, the Lions are eliminated, so they'll only be playing to eliminate the Packers. So, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, please give it a like and a subscribe. Yeah, if you're not watching this on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify, that link will be in the description. Big thank you to Souls Auto Parts. Check them out if you need to. And if you want to contact me, that will be in the description. It's amazing. The last regular season episode of Penalty on the Podcaster for 2022 is basically over. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for listening. You'll hear more of me next upload.